Hello, family. I'm Ronald McNeil. I'm sorry I can't be there with you tonight in person. I am presenting the family genealogy for the Genealogy Committee, as well as brief historical information in addition to the Richardson family reunion. I am the son of Ronald and Patricia McNeil. Ronald McNeil Sr.'s mother is Margaret Richardson. Margaret's father is Alonzo Richardson. Alonzo's father is James Richardson. James' father is Jackson Richardson, also known as Jack Richardson. He is our oldest ancestor on the Richardson side we could trace back on Ancestry.com and other places thus far, as far as the Richardson family tree is concerned. Jack Richardson was born in 1848 in Pinewood, Sumter, South Carolina. He and his brother Caleb were farm laborers from young men, as many of our ancestors were in those times. Jack Richardson married Nemaya Canty. Together, I believe they had 13 children. Our family lived in Sumter for a few generations. As for my lineage, they lived in Sumter, South Carolina for 4 generations before moving to Wilmington, North Carolina for one reason or another. Migration happened for many reasons: opportunities, jobs, better living. While Sumter was a great farming area for generations, throughout the 1800s, they had a massive boom in all type of development. They had a railroad come through. They started to split up the county from the size of what Sumter was, and they shrunk it down or whatnot to a smaller size. This brought many people and many businesses. Over time, our family left for one reason or another. Sometimes change is good until it isn't. Many are the reasons for the eventual exodus from Sumter, including but not limited to racism against our family, whom are also indigenous to the Carolinas. I don't think we realize just how important that line is and how we are very indigenous to the Carolina area or whatnot, or just to the East Coast. A lot of black people were misclassified and reclassified as Africans or whatnot during the transatlantic slave trade, but that's not true. Through documentation in slavevoyages.com, it also specifies that a lot of blacks or whatnot are indeed American Indian, and a lot of the transatlantic slave trade went to Brazil, not to North America. One thing I noticed on the 1910 U.S. Census concerning Jack Richardson and his family, that census stated that Jack Richardson, Nemaya, and the children were labeled as mulatto. Now, we think of mulatto, we think of it as being, black, white, admixture. But that's not quite true. Actually, mulatto meant 9 times out of 10 prior to 1920 that you were an American Indian. Now, they would never write you on the census that you were an American Indian or put an I there. They would either put you a Negro, colored, or black. And sometimes, if you fit all the criteria for being an Indian, they're not going to call you an Indian. They will call you a mulatto. And prior to 1920, mulatto meant that you are the child of an American Indian man and a negress, meaning a Negro woman. And like I say, for a lot of cases, it meant that you were American Indian. It just they didn't want to classify you as that. Or you had a lighter complexion and a lighter hue. You had a different style of hair. You had curly hair. You had straight hair or whatnot. But like I said, American Indians came in a lot of different phenotypes and different looks. But majority of them look like me and you. That's the thing that they don't teach us in history. So, like I said, again, if you lived off of the reservation, they classified you as Negro, colored, or black. But like I say, for the family of Jack Richardson in 1910, the U.S. Census documented them as mulatto. It's very important when we look up our history and start to begin to understand who we are and what we are. For us to call ourselves Indian off of the reservation meant death, lynching, or jail. I have been doing research on blacks being the American Indian for over 10 years. We have been indoctrinated through elementary school through 12th grade. That is what we call classify as compulsory education. I have done research by way of genealogy to the research of federal documents, observing treaties, journals, newspaper articles, first-hand accounts and records, and the Antiquities of America journals from the Portuguese, the Spanish, the English, the German, and others. Also, first known as, or should I say, whom have stated that the American Negro, also first known as the American Indian, has always been in the Americas as the Aboriginal inhabitants. I would love to invite you all on this journey with me and the Ancestry Committee to explore together our beautiful indigenous past and grow together as a family. Let's find out together the beauty of the Richardson family tree, which has plenty of beautiful historical references from Colonel Richardson, the Milford Plantation, and so many other different beautiful historical references that reference Richardson. And another thing I found out also, looking up through the Dawes Rolls and other Indian rolls, there are a lot of different tribes that also have the name Richardson in them. So I would love to work together with you all and try to find out what tribes we belong to. Like I say, it's family by family, and also it can be generation by generation, because sometimes with the tribes and whatnot, they would become other tribes because of the wars that were going on in the colonies at the times. But I just want to say that thank you for listening to this presentation. And this concludes the Ancestry presentation. Wado. Wado is Cherokee for goodbye.